Hello, I'm Liam Moggan, and I'm delighted to be hosting this episode of the Irish Life Power of Support panel. With us today we have nutritionist Olivia Keenan and physiotherapist Mark Kenneally. Both of you have great experience in the marathon. Olivia, I know you're training for this Irish Life Dublin Marathon. And Mark, while I think you've only ran 5, one of them was the Olympic Marathon in London. So well done, glad to have you both. Olivia, I'll jump into the nutrition question first, and I'll throw something at you that because runners really chalk up the miles, they can eat anything they like. Is that true?
Well, in terms of eating anything you like, I think that you should listen to your body. I think that if you're following the Irish Life Dublin Marathon beginner's plan, you will definitely you'll definitely be cranking up the miles in your long runs every Saturday or Sunday, for example. Make sure you're getting enough carbohydrates and enough protein in your diet to support your fueling. You technically can eat, in terms of what you like, but you want to be choosing the right foods to support your nutrition, to support your health, to keep you going for your long runs and for recovery.
Give us some examples of those right foods. You said listen to your body.
Yeah.
You're listening and saying, I need to eat, I'm hungry.
Sure. Okay, so foods that are going to support your performance on the day, on the run, are carbohydrates. So we're looking at, say, for breakfast, porridge, bagels. So they're really good choices. Okay. Or pasta and rice. That's carbohydrates. That's going to fuel your performance. Yeah. So then afterwards, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're looking to reach for foods. It's like you might want to reach for high sugar foods. Perhaps just before you go and do that, fuel yourself with protein. So that will help your recovery. So we look at, like, perhaps if you eat dairy, that's a good one, yogurts, lean proteins, lean meats. And if you are vegan or vegetarian, you might want to look at soya. So they're good options. And also remember to have lots of vegetables and fruits, because they're the nutrients that are going to really support you just over the next, couple of weeks and when you're training.
You haven't excluded anything on that list. Is there anything you'd say, try to avoid this, and this is more into the optional area?
No, I never say exclude any foods. The foods I would talk about, and this might be a question you might ask me on, runner's gut, runner's guts, or how they're feeling, or their digestive issues on the day, then there'll be foods that I'll recommend to avoid. But, the weeks of training, look to include a good variety of fibre, fruit and veg. Perhaps alcohol, that's one that you might want to tend to reduce, because that can impact performance and training and recovery. Yeah,
you say perhaps. Would you be a bit stronger on that?
I would be a bit stronger on that. Yeah, it would. It can reduce your performance levels.
Waited for celebrations.
Yeah. Yes, okay, for sure.
So that's your red line, and everything else is optional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. If we want to talk about in terms of looking at digestive issues and gut issues, with many runners experience and can experience on the day, but that's another question, and I can go into that. So we'd look at reducing fibres, and we'd look at reducing our fat intake, but that would be the week coming into the marathon.
Okay. We might take the week coming into it later on now. Mark, a marathon runner, physiotherapist, when you're putting in the miles, aches and pains are part and parcel of it. So what advice would you give to the athlete now in the next coming weeks for the Irish Life Dublin Marathon? They're going to feel a bit sore, they're going to feel a bit uncomfortable. What's your advice as a physio? Yeah,
it is a difficult one. I think that, as you said, it's part and parcel of increasing your training, and particularly in preparing for something like a marathon, particularly if you haven't done it before, to get niggles, to get aches and pains, and that's all normal. I suppose the trick, and this comes with experience and with advice, is figuring out which ones you have to stop with and which ones are part of the training process and are normal elements of recovery. So I suppose, as a rule of thumb, I think anything that lasts for 24 to 48 hours or longer, that isn't getting any better, is probably something that you need to get checked out by a physio or by a medical professional, or something
Let me jump in there, Mark. So you've done your 10-mile run, and the following day you're feeling a bit sore. So you're saying 24 hours, 48 hours. Should you run that day, or be cautious and put the brakes on?
I think if you're unsure, you shouldn't. I think that if there's a ache or a pain that's starting to improve, that you really feel that it's coming around, it's muscle tightness, it's both sides, it's something that you really feel you can put down to a particular area of your body, and it is getting better, you might be able to try an easy run. Certainly a lot of runners will go out with aches and pains and be able to get through easy runs without an issue. But I think that, again, if you're unsure, if you're unclear, seeking advice is definitely the better option then in that situation.
And anything you'd suggest that runners should do? They're listening to their body now. There's still an ache or a pain there. They're not going to immediately go to the physio. What would you suggest they do in that first day or two?
Well, I think one of the big things is nutrition. So it's making sure that post your bigger workouts that you have got your nutrition and your rest right. And then aside from that, there are particular stretches that will work for particular people. So if you haven't got an idea around what works for you individually, hit your main muscle groups. So you've got quads, hamstrings, calves. There are stretches that you can do for each of those areas, and they'll typically be the ones that are aching or sore afterwards. So you can stretch those out. You could potentially try some foam rolling if that works for you. There are a number of different options there.
So certainly not doing nothing. You're talking about stretching, foam rolling.
Yeah, potentially go for a walk, try and see what a walk feels like, and if a walk starts to make it feel a little bit better, I think it's probably more likely to be an ache or a pain than an injury.
Okay, so patience, caution, listen to the body.
Yeah.
Now Mark gave a nice lean there, nutritionally was important. You've done your 10, 12 mile run, Olivia. Take me through, you've arrived home, take me through what you should do nutritionally now and when.
Well, you want to make sure you're rehydrating. So you want to take on, it depends what you were doing during your long run. If you were rehydrating with electrolytes and carbohydrates. So come home, make sure you hydrate well. Perhaps you want to take an electrolyte drink, over the next hour or two, but then look to take on protein. So we want to take protein then throughout the day. Yeah. It's better absorbed if you take it over the day as opposed to in one full meal.
So your protein is your dairies and your meats, as you mentioned
exactly
earlier. Okay.
Yeah, eggs, they're all fantastic. And even having something like eggs on toast, that's a great, and that's quick and easy to have. And it might be a lighter snack. You mightn't be feeling too hungry post your long run. Yeah. So you want to make sure you're getting protein. Because you want to support your muscles and repair and recovery. And then you want to get the carbohydrates back into you as well. So that's why I always jump on easy accessible foods that you might just have rather than having to cook a big meal.
Well, just a tip for the athlete who comes back and doesn't feel like running. They have had a particularly demanding run. They might just feel a bit sore in their tummy.
Yeah, sure.
What should they do? Should they not eat, or should they eat something like your eggs on toast?
No, I would suggest try and have something if you can. And I know some people find it difficult to stomach foods because they're not feeling great. I completely understand that. Even if you could have a shake or a protein shake. If you don't have any protein shakes to hand, milk is fine, or yogurt and fruit, just something small like that to tie you over, just for recovery. Because if you don't try and get the nutrients in for recovery, you'll find yourself completely ravenous, potentially much later on, and then you might end up eating foods that aren't going to support you nutritionally as you could have throughout the day. Yeah.
So I'm hearing eat, even if you don't feel like eating, but eat something. And be patient, so small portions.
Small portions, yeah.
Okay. And when? Can you put a time in that? I'm in the door now, I've done the 10 miles, I shower. When should the eating start?
Well, it used to be that you have to have it within the hour of coming home or whenever you've finished your race. But now if you can get it within, the 2 to 3 hour window, just a little bit of carbohydrates. Yeah, that's okay, carbohydrates and protein. So also, if you're taking on the carbohydrates and protein, it can bring your cortisol levels down. I believe, and I know from research, and they're looking into it now further, that the cortisol levels, when you reduce them, that can help with muscle repair quicker. So that's always beneficial for the runners.
So it mirrors in with the aches and pains the physiotherapist was saying on that. Yeah. Okay. Some athletes, Mark, will get aches and pains that force them now in the next few weeks to have to stop. So mentally they're going to get disappointed. There'll be an emotional thing there, and yet they want to run.
Yep.
So what advice would you give to someone who will come to you now as a physiotherapist and you know they have to take 3 or 4 weeks off maybe and yet want to get to the line? What do you say to those?
I think I'd have to consider it as a physiotherapist, but also then thinking about the actual running side of things as well. So if they've set a particular target in their mind and they're going to have to take 3 or 4 weeks off, that target may have to be readjusted, because hanging tightly to that target may end up in them trying to do things that will either worsen the injury or, when they come back, re-aggravate the injury at that point in time. So that's the first piece, and then we'd need to consider what their training background has looked like, and then reinforce that with them, that there is training in there, and then consider the actual injury itself and try to reassure that if we can get through the next 3 to 4 weeks, start to introduce running gradually, do whatever rehabilitation is required, whatever treatment is required, that the goal can be readjusted and we can get you to this point.
It's like a comfort blanket. I even felt comfortable there. Just change your goal. Let's get into rehab, we'll fix it, and you'll be all right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think then the hard part as a physio is when you get to the point where you realise that someone isn't going to make it to the start line, and then sometimes it's going to have to be, well, maybe this isn't the sensible thing at this point in time, and it's reset and get ready for next year, and what do you need to do to be able to prepare for another marathon, whenever that may be.
Okay, all right, so I can sense a sense of reassurance there. Olivia, you're preparing for this year's Irish Life Dublin Marathon. What is different as you, as Olivia, the athlete leading up to the marathon distance, and you, the nutritionist? What do you do differently now?
Well, I think about my fueling. I think about what I'm going to eat and take on during my long runs.
A lot more seriously than you would.
Yeah.
Okay.
In previous years, before I kind of started understanding more about nutrition and my body and what I need, and particularly in terms of how I respond. So everyone's going to be individual. So, you know, for me, I know that I need to take on carbohydrates.
So you take on more?
I do. Yeah. I can't rely solely on just, you know, very little fueling. I have to take on hydration as well. I have hit the wall before on a half marathon, and I know exactly what that feels like. Yeah. And that was because I didn't fuel properly. Yeah. So this is where I, you know, try and take in what, you know, I'm learning and what I've learned.
So when you take in, let's say just on the hydration, on the carbos, do you have bigger portions or do you eat more regularly? And likewise with the water, do you force yourself at various times?
So a lot of the research was always based on men. So, you know, research that we're finding, it's all kind of, so as a female, I don't tend to take on a lot of the measurements that, you know, that are recommended. You have to work with your pace, the distance that you're going, you know, your distance, and your time that you're planning. So I think what I like to do is I like to have smaller portions, but more regular snacks. But that may be different for, you know, it might be different for somebody who can't do that. They just want to have the meals. And it's fine. You have to work with what works for you.
Yeah. But just for what works for you, Olivia, smaller portions, regular snacks. How regular? Let's say from the time you've had your breakfast.
Okay. Yeah. So I would probably have breakfast. So on a race day or on a long running day, I would definitely have my breakfast. I would have probably have a snack or a gel if the long run is beyond 21 kilometers. So I would have a gel, and then I would have 1, 2, 3 gels, potentially depending on the length I'm doing that day. When I come home, I would probably have banana or a piece of toast, and then I would have a yogurt maybe an hour later. So, you know,
it is personal.
It is very personal. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, just as a final one, Mark, I'll ask you just to mix the physiotherapist and the Olympic marathon runner together. What's your gut reaction tip to somebody who's going to run the Irish Life Dublin Marathon in a few weeks?
I love when people come in and they're going to do it. I think it's a great, you know, there's obviously a sense of achievement for anyone to do a marathon. I think that it is part and parcel of running a marathon, and particularly your first marathon, to have challenges associated with it, to have aches and pains, to have niggles. Anyone that comes into me with a niggle who's running their first marathon, I tell them that I expect people running their first marathon to have some degree of pain or to have an injury or something going on. And again, like you've mentioned, the reassurance is the first part, and then making sure that they understand that the biggest part of staying healthy for a marathon is the training piece. It's getting the training piece absolutely right. If that's not right, no matter what a physio does, whether it, treatment or rehab, that's not going to make a difference, because if you decide to do it too late, if you decide to ramp too quickly, if you decide to jump in with your friend who's running an hour faster than you, then you're going to end up in trouble. So I think it's talking about the training first, and then getting into some of the specifics then from there.
You're very much based on the reality. You got to do the work and take confidence from the work.
Well, that's what's going to keep you healthy. Like that is the reality. Like doing rehab or getting treatment when you're trying to do way above what your capacity is trying to,
All right, thank you.
Finger in the dike.
Final question for you, Olivia. The morning of the race, a lot of people may be away from home or be up a lot earlier than they normally would. What's the one single tip you'd give them regarding what they get in that morning?
The one single tip. Okay, wow. Okay, so I'm going to try and elaborate just a little bit, if you don't mind, on the one single, because there's just maybe 2 or 3 things. Set your alarm clock. Get up early. Look at the time of the event. Make sure you're getting 100 to 200 grams of carbohydrates. So a bowl of porridge, a bagel.
As you've already done in the week.
Make sure you do not trial any new foods. Stick with what you've already done on your long runs. And that will reduce your levels of GI distress.
Practice it.
Repeat
it, and then
exactly.
On the day of the race.
Don't try anything new on the day of the event.
I hope all that advice works well for you, Olivia.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mark will be going quite near your home, so I hope you will be out there issuing your support and so forth.
Sure.
Thank you both very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.